On the latest Valiant Comics review, we spotlight one of the great Valiant-themed podcasts out on the internet. This week we're taking a look at the Valiant Central podcast from the good people over at ValiantCentral.com. They recently sat down with Harbinger and Imperium writer Josh Dysart for a discussion. To hear the entire conversation, be sure to check out their podcast, which I've linked below, as well as the Valiant Central site for news and features about all things Valiant. Alright, on with the show.
Where did Sunlight on Snow come from?
Warren said we needed a robot, and it's like, we need a robot. I can't sell. Warren's basic. This is like Warren Simon. He's like, I can't sell a comic book every month on the idea that Harada just wants to build a space elevator. I need a robot. Because that was my big thing. I was like, Harada fights to build a space elevator in Africa. He's like, what are you doing to me? You're killing me. So he's like, we need a robot. And I'm like, I don't want to make a stupid robot. And then, of course, I went off with his notes, which I had rolled my eyes at, and sat down at my little desk and started making these characters. And then it was actually out of his demand for a robot that a couple of things happened that are now characterological at the core of Imperium. And one of them was this idea that Harbinger was playing with the tropes of the superhero team concept. You know, the tank and Torque, the hottie, the like rebel kid who leads them. It's like, and then we sort of like invert and play with these tropes. Then we could do that very same thing with a supervillain team. So I that's when I started sitting around and thinking, what are the most cliched supervillains you could possibly come up with? And it's the evil robot, the crazy alien, the mad scientist. A terrorist is sort of a new addition to it, but I feel like it fit with the times. Our Chechen terrorist grave dog, and in a dictator, like a psychic dictator, which is Harada himself. So once I got clued into that, I had to start thinking about how to take these cliches and making them fun and cool and neat to play with and interesting to people and fresh. And the first thing that dawned on me was that the robot was going to be our faith character this time around. The robot was going to be the one that we believe in, that we think is the only protector of genuine human value. And I thought that would be really, really fun and a nice turnaround. And to do that, he had to have a name that wasn't M3X22 or something, like, you know what I mean? and when Doug and I were designing him, by that I mean Doug primarily, but when we were talking about the designs, Doug hadn't clued in yet on the fact that this was going to be the most human character, that we didn't have a script yet or anything. We're just designing these things, and mostly we have to get these designs out so we can make cool covers and all this stuff so we can sell the book. So I was talking to Doug, and I said, this is the most human character in the whole book. This is the character that people are going to believe in. He's going to have the most spirit and heart. It's obviously it's a genderless machine. And that really lit up Doug a lot, because he was trying to make a machine that we could empathize with, so that he could draw something that had some sort of human element. But the minute he realized Sunlight and Snow was our human element, its character was our human element, it became much more advantageous and interesting to make Sunlight and Snow as inhuman as possible, as mechanical and as functionary as possible. And so that's how we came about it. But the name specifically Sunlight on Snow is designed to invoke something organic and beautiful. And there is a story behind, Sunlight and Snow are fire and ice, and they're opposite things, and one destroys the other, and it's a very complex phrase, Sunlight on Snow, and that's a little bit of a part of the next issue that's coming out. So you can get more about the psychology of that name, I guess.